Well, good afternoon, everyone, from sunny California. And it's quite crisp and cool outside, but it is sunny. Welcome to MUSEA, the Center for Intentional Creativity and Museum. And this is quite an honor and quite an extraordinary day here at MUSEA. We are absolutely thrilled that each and every one of you have joined us and that you're here in the space with us virtually. We wish you were all in the room, and someday perhaps that will be so again. And so we have today an absolutely extraordinary exhibit that we're very pleased to bring into this space, this forum for your consideration. And we have been, in some ways, working on this show for nearly a decade, even more so than our celebrants today. So what do you think about that? We're here to have an extraordinary opportunity.
I just want to welcome all of you to the museum for Dream a New Dream, the exhibit featuring soul artist Laüra Hollick and photographer Thom, a powerful collaborative artist and love experience. And we just are so excited. I'm feeling a little bit like nervous. You know, you would think that virtual didn't feel quite as pressurized as the actual openings. I've had 25 years of art openings. I feel just as nervous. I've just been like jittery all day, trying to get my tears out before. It feels so emotional to cause and create this space.
Well, at least I could have had the champagne open on time and the canapes ready, but
I know if you were here, we'd love to serve you. So I'm inviting you to use your imagination to pretend with us that you are in the museum and that you've come through the doors and it feels like a place that you've always known was there, and here it is. I invite you to imagine that when you see the exhibit presentation, that you're in the room with us and this amazing screen is revealed on the wall that just fills the entire space, but we're all watching it together. I invite you to also imagine that the rest of the exhibit, the images, are all around the room with us. And if you will participate with us in the creation of Dreaming a New Dream, this will not just be a viewing experience, but actually a blessing for you, as I know that Kevin and Laüra want that to be. And so,
yeah.
One of the things I wanted to do is just to say to you that MUSEA is a living museum and school. We are home to an intergenerational and multicultural collective of emerging and experienced creatives, healers, and leaders. We're a global art movement dedicated to self-expression as a method for consciousness and compassion through the arts. The Intentional Creativity Arts Guild of MUSEA certified educators and curators offers engaging art programming across the world, co-curating art exhibits and classes. And the opportunity to come together and to collaborate with artists of this caliber is not only a huge honor, but it feels like when you think of the world of art out there and you think of how separate sometimes we feel from the art world or museums, and you imagine that we are completely disrupting the norm and creating this in a new way so that we can dream a new dream. So dear ones, I welcome you, and I want to just take this moment to thank our two amazing guests. Would you like to come up and say hello for a moment?
Yeah,
Sure,
for sure.
yes.
Hello. Well, so happy to be
Hi.
here.
you are.
Hi. Hello.
Welcome, welcome. We're so happy to have you. We miss you.
Oh, we miss you too. Thanks, Shiloh, for that beautiful introduction.
Mm-hmm.
How are you feeling? What are you feeling in your bodies?
Probably similar to what you described.
Yeah.
Where, when I first started online, I thought, oh, this is going to be great, right? Because you have your own space, but there's still the energetics. You can feel like the buzz, the energy of something happening. And so my body's been processing that all day. I'm so excited.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh. Well, we are too. We just really, as our whole communities are coming together today, I just really want to thank you for your work and that we're about to behold as fellow artists, and Jonathan's also a photographer. We have been witnessing your work and your evolution and your love and your vision, and just always felt a sense of simpatico and the reality that we could come together at this time to bring this new dream is such a gift for us. Thank you, first of all.
Mm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So glad. All right, dear ones. Well, we are about to embark on an adventure, and we will come back for a conversation with Laura and Kevin after the exhibit presentation. But I also just want to invite everybody after the presentation. We're just going to sit in quiet for a bit as we just allow the image and what each of you is experiencing to be revealed to you. So here we go. Thank you so much. Welcome to MUSEA, the Intentional Creativity Museum. We are humbled and delighted to reveal the Dream a New Dream exhibit presentation. This exhibit features the dynamic and inspiring collaboration of soul artist Laüra Hollick and photographer Thom. What you are about to experience features highlights from over 10 years of their work together as fellow artists and lovers. Allow the imagery and sound to reach your soul and carry you away to a place of beauty, possibility, and deep interconnection with the natural world. We invite you to embark on an imaginary voyage to another world, a new world. Shall we begin?
Dream a New Dream is about reimagining our world where reverence for both earth and spirit are a reality. These images call us to remember our roots and grow new ways of being that honor beauty, creativity, nature, and its cycles. The colors of the rainbow guide us through this exhibition, giving us a full spectrum perspective of what is possible. Each image is a profound portal into the richness of the soul's imagination and how it can work in concert with the earth, calling us to dream a new dream.
Dear ones, let us just be in this space. You can just close your eyes and just to be quiet for a moment and listen for what's arising for you. And then when you feel ready to go ahead and add some of your thoughts, what your experiences into the chat, let's just be in this space of the new dream.
I see that some of you are posting in the chat now, and we're just going to read a few of these shares so we can hear them spoken aloud. I feel a sense of hope and wonderment. Stunning, otherworldly, magical. Thank you. Hers is such a beautiful way to express art and connection to the earth. Beautiful integration with the natural world, connected, sensitive, soul-wrenching. So rich, full, powerful, gentle, strong, a gift and a grace. Thank you. Thank you. Sensuality and reverence for life. Magnificent and so inspiring. I feel the play of human imagination and nature and what can be when they come together. Best goddess ever. Feelings of hopefulness, love, and respect for the earth. Thank you, everyone, for sharing your reflections, and we invite you to continue to share them. I am Amber Samaya Gould, and I am MUSEA's curatorial director. And I just want to also add my own reflection that it has been an exceptionally moving and inspiring experience for me to collaborate with Laüra and with Kevin to create this exhibit experience. You can't help but be deeply moved, and I was very ignited in my own artistry, so I just wanted to say that and offer my own gratitude. And with that, we will call back curator Shiloh Sophia to usher us into the artist conversation part of our museum call today. Thank you, everyone. Continue to post in the chat.
Thank you so much, Amber. And on behalf of all of us at MUSEA, thank you for the curation and support and vision that you've brought to this project. Well, I know for me, witnessing these images and seeing their evolution over the years arising in the world, I feel like some of you, like a sense of hope and a sense of beauty. And as an artist myself, one of the things that I have been dedicated to is the reimaging of images of the feminine. As we know, when, probably close to 30 years ago, if you were going to look for powerful images of the feminine, you might be hard pressed to find them. Unless we're talking sort of pre-Raphaelite or Vogue magazine, like there was not that much in the middle. And when people started to see my images of the feminine, they're like, where has this been? We really wanted to see this. And when I see these images, it really is this archetypal, but ageless image of the feminine. And then knowing that Kevin as the masculine is there curating that whole environment. I can't tell you how many times I've imagined those days of you all, what you were creating. So Welcome back. Thank you so much. That was so wonderful to watch. How are you? What's present for you now?
It's amazing to just experience other people watching at the same time that we're watching. And, obviously being the creators and being in it, I see it in a certain way, but I felt like I was able to kind of see it in new eyes, fresh eyes through other people's perspectives. So that just felt like that open, expanded something.
Yeah.
Yeah, same here. These images are so familiar to both Laura and I because we both have vivid memories of creating them and working on them and like coming up with the ideas and then executing those ideas and making the photos out of them. And so it's fun to really get to witness others witnessing them. So thank you so much for that opportunity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What's coming up for you?
Well, I got a couple of things. First of all is, I've attended a few events like in the staging and creation of images like this. And I always think about how everything has to be perfect, perfect, perfect. And then at the last second, it's like, it's 20 degrees below zero outside. And you're like, okay, drop the coat, lay down. we got 1 minute. And, it's like, I could hear you on the phone, right? It's like, okay, no, I need 50 yards of scarlet taffeta, 50 yards. Okay. And so it's a real testament to your skill, both of you. It's a real testament to your resilience and durability to make the choice, make the intent of creating art, which is what we're all about around here, and to allow it to. It's really interesting because we think about it as sort of the infinity sign around here. The art informs you and you inform the art, and the art becomes you and you become the art. And there's a real wonderful interwovenness to it and you as beings, as people. And when we came to Toronto and came out to your studio, and it was one of the most interesting trips ever, because it was very foreign for us. Even just in Canada, we were like, wow, it's a very unique land, people, perspective. And I think you have really elevated both of your crafts exponentially by the work that you've done over this time. And that was almost a decade ago,
right?
That we came there.
Well, I wanted to ask you all, I was thinking about when the first of the images came in your life, when you came together. I know you both worked in all forms of various arts before this project, and that your business and Soul Art Studio just has so many facets, right? But this one facet of making images like this particular genre. Can you tell us a little bit about the first few that you made? Like, what did Laura did I said to Jonathan, I've never asked you to do anything that dramatic.
I was like, don't.
And Laura say, Kevin, I have this idea. Like, tell us a little bit about the inception.
Okay, I got this idea. This is the thing. We got to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Kevin calls me the pie factory because I have so many ideas.
They're just shooting out. The pies are shooting
There's
out.
a lot of ideas for sure. But in the beginning, before there was that comfort that the ideas could just like fly out freely, I had seen Kevin's work and I was just thinking, wow, like I knew I wanted to work with him. I interviewed him on the radio and I was like getting to know him through that. And then there was an opportunity for me to do this creative photo shoot for a Bravo TV documentary. And so I was working, and it was about my art, and I was working with the producer, and I said, I really want Thom to be the photographer in this documentary with me, taking pictures of me. And that was actually our first photo shoot. So we had like no experience, and then we're like suddenly in this documentary as if this is what we were doing. Yeah, and we did it was pretty simple. You want to share about the shoot?
It was a red bird sculpture that Laura had created, part of her Journey Walker series, and just beautiful, very tall sculptures. And we did a photo of Laura kind of kneeling and looking up at it. And yeah, it was a really interesting experience because we hadn't worked together before. We had started getting to know each other after the radio interview. Laura had contacted me and wanted to interview me about an exhibition I was doing at the time. And So we'd gotten to know each other a little bit that way. And I thought, well, this is a really interesting lady with a lot of ideas. But yeah, that was our first actual photo shoot. And like Laura said, we just like jumped right into the deep end with doing that in front of a film crew. And yeah, and we didn't include that image in this show, but because they're just, there's so many that we've done. We've done hundreds of images and we had to pare them down, but that it's still one of our favorites, I think.
So that kind of warmed us up. And then when I felt like there was, like I could, explore this more, then I was like, oh, can we do this? Can we do this? What about this? And like, you're the only person that I've met, honestly, that I think could like take it all, like handle the volume of ideas that is just constantly going, even to this day, over a decade later. We met in 2005. And now it's, it's constant.
Yeah, one of the things I was doing concurrently with meeting Laura was a lot of improv comedy work. And so I don't know how much any other people know about improv, but the basic tenet is to say yes to everything, because saying no just shuts everything down. So we learned how to say yes, and then we elevate it. So we say yes and so every time Laura would come to me with an idea, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, yes. And
then there's another idea.
Yeah. And then Laura comes up with another. So I just kept saying yes, 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 yes. And many years later, we've got hundreds and hundreds of photos.
And when the photos happen, are they inspired by a particular ethos or mythos? Is it connected with projects that you're offering to the community? Are they linked with other things that are happening, or is it just pure art in and of itself? And sometimes it coincides with an invitation to join you in your education.
I feel like spirit and earth is always talking to me, and it knows before there's an offer. And so I'm always just going with the ideas, and then they will be for something, but I don't typically create something thinking, oh, I want to make this thing so that it will like sell this thing or, whatever. But often the art, like my spirit or source, whatever word, is already knowing what's wanting to happen. So like, I'll get an idea and I'll go with it, and I'll be, oh, that's, we can use this for this. So it's, the spark of it is more just like, I could see a plant or a color combination, and then all of a sudden I'll just get a vision and then start making something, and then it will turn into a course or an offering. But it's that direction. Like, it's not the course first, it's the art first. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. That's the same over here. It's like the image and the dream is what gives rise to whatever, if there's an invitation.
There's so many examples of that between art and physics as well. Because, Picasso was working and popular around the same time as Albert Einstein. And so Picasso had this idea about the way that light moves through space. And a couple of years later, although they never met, Einstein, once he published his first simple theory of relativity, was shown Picasso's painting, and he went, yeah, that. So it is.
Exactly what I was thinking.
And so the art prefigures, right, the language of other modalities like science or commerce.
Yeah. And I think that's something so important to remember. And I remind myself, because it's something that it's spirit, source, the divine, wherever inspiration comes from, or the earth, it has an intelligence that is beyond our logical understanding and our contriving kind of mind that wants to have something go in a certain order. I feel like when we really tune into art and kind of where that comes from in that pure inspiration state, it will be wiser than what we could have contrived. And so I have to remind myself really to trust that and go with that, because our world really wants us to already know the answer before we start. And the art is like, you have to take the journey to discover what it is. It's going to teach you if you actually enter the creation. And so then you can't know when you start what it's for necessarily. And that's valid too. When someone goes that route, I would call that commercial art. Like, if someone knows the outcome before they've started, it's serving that purpose. But when it's art in this way of kind of getting to know spirit and being a channel for that, I don't know like, it's like going into the mystery and really entering that love affair to trust and let it reveal itself to me.
Mhm.
I
And it
just
can be a
love-
little bit terrifying as well to
Yeah.
go
Oh,
into that
yeah.
process. So a lot of times we have, Laura will come up with a concept and then we'll prepare for that, but then maybe the weather is not cooperating, or maybe, not everything came together the way it was supposed to, or we thought it was supposed to, and we have to go with it anyway. And so we just enter that unknown, and then out of that comes something maybe partially or totally unexpected.
Mm.
And that's just part of the beauty of it. And then that process or that image that comes out of it will teach us something.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's
lovely.
a really beautiful process.
Yeah, we say around here that we realize when we really have something extraordinary in an art creation, it transcends utility. And so, that's when you say, the commercialization, if I'm going to make something, then I can run the factory and pop out a whole bunch of them, right? And they're just another product for without intention. But when you're making art in this particular fashion, it instantly has a resonance and a being of its own that transcends the utility of the piece, and carries that resonance. And your work really carries resonance.
Thank you, Jonathan.
I truly wish we were all together right now celebrating. And if you were here, I would ask you a question about love. So I'm going to go ahead and ask you a question about love. Our theme this year is more and more love. So we're bringing it to you here of just tell us a little bit about the love relationship. That's often people want to know from us, like, well, what happened? What came first, the work or the romance? So speak to us just a little bit about how your romantic love factors into the creative process.
Talk about this.
Well, the first date, Kevin said, like, pack a suitcase, basically.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, what do I need to put in the suitcase? And he's like, well, for a temperature that, is warm but could get cool, and for a week. And I was like, okay. So I did this, and I was able to take a week and do this at the time. And we go to the airport, and then he tells me at the airport, oh, like, we're going to California for the week. And, that was like the beginning. So it was like, there was always an adventure and a creation, like a mystery, an unfolding. So that was.
Yeah. Well, just to be clear, it wasn't the very first date.
We called it the first date.
That was the first. That's when we really, it became official that we were together. But we'd kind of been circling each other, and
Right.
but yeah, we love that. I think, like, one thing we said in improv, again, I keep bringing it back to improv, is the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And so I think, like, we both approach life and love and art in the same way. Like, we like to enter the unknown. We like to be spontaneous about things. We like to create things together. We just like to be with each other. And so, like, being with each other means that we're with each other as artists as well as partners. And we don't have that separation of work and life. Sometimes there's some perils to that, but basically we are what we are, and we are what we are with each other as well. And so I feel like that's really helped us to maintain love through whatever we do together.
Something else too that I think I learned is that although the images that we create, there's a lot of beauty, but for me anyways, to feel like I can embody that kind of sensuality, I have to be very comfortable with ugliness, so that I feel like I can, like, move and breathe. So it's like, who can I feel like I can be ugly with so that my beauty can come out? And what I discovered with Kevin, and what kind of opened sort of just this beautiful relationship, is there's room for the range. It's like I can be ugly, and then I can be beautiful. I can be, I can be different, I can be what I am, so that there's breathing room for us to exist as people, which then lets the art come through, because there's no resistance to it coming through.
She's never really ugly.
Yeah, I know, I can be. I can feel it. I can feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
because
like,
art has those
usually-
moments, right? Where
Yeah, and just like, being like it's freezing cold out. And so then it's like, I'm cranky or, whatever, things like that. And yeah.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah, art has those moments and life has those moments, and
Mm-hmm.
and it's the same thing, like we go through our rough patches and we get sharp with each other when there's a lot of stuff going on sometimes. But I think one thing we had said to each other very early on in our relationship was that everything that we do and every intent that we have to each other is based in love. So if one of us says something that comes across as hurtful or does something that comes across as hurtful, that's not the intent. The intent is love, and it's always held true. We've been together for a long time, and even though we've done things to upset each other sometimes, we always come back to the fact that it's based in love.
Mm. Oh, wonderful. Well, I was wondering if you might let us take a little peek at behind the scenes.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yes.
Does that sound good? Okay.
Yes.
So we're going to go to that and then we will continue. Thank you so much, Laura and Kevin. That was,
Thank you for sharing.
I have
that
like
with
a
us.
million more questions, but I just loved it. Thank you so much. And
Thanks,
now we'll watch. Don't you want to know, like, I want to see Laura with a wagon in the snow with feathers. I just want to know what goes into it. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. That was so fun to see. Wasn't that amazing?
I was waiting because one of the things I noticed about, especially the shots in the snow, right, is like, okay, but if they do that, they're gonna mess up the snow. They're gonna mess up the snow really bad.
That's what we think too. Exactly.
I saw you like walking into the same footprints.
Exactly.
Just sort of rake over the footprint and just be like,
Yeah,
okay,
no.
the one was here. It's just magic. I was like, we're gonna mess up the snow. I was waiting for it. It was awesome. got
usually have a back route in to photo shoots.
Yeah, we come around the back of where we're going to
Something
shoot, so we
that'll-
don't mess up the snow in the front.
It'll be in
But
the
yeah,
shadow.
I love your reflections on this, Jonathan, about how, even at the beginning when you were saying how, there's all this preparation for the shoot, and then it's like, okay, the coat comes off and you've got like 1 minute to work. And that's very much like what our experience is. We're like working on this, and Laura's in her big coat and putting things together, and it's freezing cold out. And then, she's got this skimpy dress that she's got to wear inside the waterfall or something like that when it's freezing cold, and has to look perfectly comfortable and in bliss for approximately 30 seconds.
Oh my gosh.
Absolutely.
Well,
When I was food and beverage director at Universal Studios in Orlando, Florida, for when it opened in 1990, and they do, obviously photo shoots was a big thing, because we did actually make film production movies, on site, and you'd see these. I saw Charlize Theron one day, and she came. They had this whole thing set up. It took them 2 days to make this set and decorate it, and the whole thing. Da, 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 da. She comes through the back door, right, in this like neck to ankle sable, right? She comes through the back door. She stands there. She goes, "Are we ready? Are we ready?" Great. She takes off the coat, hands it to somebody, turns around. They take about 25 photographs, in like 30 seconds. She's wearing floss, basically, right? and then she goes, "I'm done." And they put the coat back on her, and she's out. And it took them days for like a, 2-minute window.
Yeah.
Laura,
Yeah.
when you're in that moment where you're like, you are, one with nature, but you're an extension, as if you're like the bud from the flower that's emerging. So you're like a continuation of the line, which I love that, right? You're continuing what the emergent of the line that's already happening. In your consciousness and your thoughts, when those moments where the camera's going, where are you in your thoughts?
Oh my gosh. When the camera starts going, if I can reach that point, I don't have to think about anything. And that is just like the greatest pleasure, because there's so much, like I have a busy mind, absolutely, with all these ideas and running a business and so much going on. My mind, it's like going all the time. So being in a photo shoot, if I can reach that moment, that's my bliss, because then I can just be in the sensuality. I'm not thinking.
Awesome.
I mean, I might be aware of like, okay, the light's this way. Like I have, the understanding of what's going to make the visual work, but it's not, I just try to get into the sensuality so that I can be just a channel.
Like pure presence.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll try to be gentle with the prompts that I give her in those moments, because we don't want to tear her out of that connection with nature. And quite naturally, Laura is able to find that simpatico with the environment, like with the vines, like emulating the shapes of them, or if we're with these particular rocks, she'll find a way to be like those rocks, or the wind, or whatever is happening. So yeah, so I think
it's total medicine to me.
Yeah.
Like to go into that space, I just feel like I'm in like the sanctuary of like relief, to just be. But it takes a lot to get there. And it's interesting what you were sharing about Charlize Theron, where, everyone's working on something for 2 days and then she comes in. When I used to like flip through Vogue, Shiloh, you mentioned Vogue before, when I was a kid, I would look at that and I would see these models in these creative experiences. And I thought, oh, I want to be a model, because I wanted to be in the creative experience. But what I didn't realize was that the model was actually just sort of almost a prop to someone else's vision.
Right.
And once I realized that, oh, I want to be the creator of the visions. So the 2 days leading up to Charlize's shoot, that would be me in a panic before the 30 seconds or 30 minutes I get to be in the sensual realm. So to me, when I reach that point of the photo shoot, it's just like I can just be there, just let go.
Well, I was wondering, I know that your work is highly involved with journey work and your own version of sort of a neo-shamanic approach to the work, right? Where it is a journey. And then after you do the photo shoot, then of course you have to clean up. So there's like all those logistics after that, unless you have a cleanup crew. But then that night and the next day, do you feel like I want to know, like, do you feel like you've been somewhere? Are you in a different initiatory state? Obviously we're tired at the end, but like, do you feel like you went somewhere and then came back and now there's a gnosis? Like, tell me about the post.
I think it comes when I can see it.
Yeah.
And then the image is a portal that then I get to be taken to the place that I was kind of channeling in that moment, but I'm not thinking it. But then when I see it, that's when I get into the dialogue with kind of, what does this actually want to teach me? What is this about? And it comes after for me, but right after the photo shoot, usually it's like, want to have a sauna or something like that and eat something. And I'm just not, I don't want to think, but it's when we can work on that together and then look at it, then I feel like, I'm like, wow, then I'm sort of taken into it on another level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, from my perspective, and I've said this to Laura, because a lot of times the things that we do to get the shot put ourselves through quite a lot of
torture.
It's physically grueling a lot of times, because we'll start very early. We have to cart everything out to the location and then build this environment. Usually we have a permit or something to do something in a conservation area, and the permit is for the day or something. And we have to take everything out again afterwards. So it's that building up process, and then the shoot, and then taking it down. And a lot of times it's Laura's working on, the one we showed in that video. Laura was wrapping the vines with fabric, and I was making repeated trips back and forth to the car, like 20-minute trips to get more bags of fabric and cart them out. And then on that day, the wheel broke off of the wagon. So I had to go to the store and buy a new wagon. And then, I'm carrying the other wagon through the forest because it didn't have a wheel on it. And
these are moments when the ugliness comes out.
Yeah, so the ugliness comes out a little bit, and maybe we're barking at each other a little bit in that process. And so definitely after we finished a day like that, we know that something has been done. But it is really rewarding in the shoot. Laura gets to be in the bliss of the actual connection with nature and the light, and we try to time it so that the light is just right by the time we complete the building of the set. And take those photos, and we get to glance at them on the back of the camera just to make sure everything is okay. And then we take everything down and we go home and look at the photos later, and then that's when it's really like hit home. Okay, we've done this, we've made something.
I love it. Well, I often think of you all when I'm getting ready because I get dressed up, just for my basic filming stuff. My mom was a fashion designer, so I've always been into clothes and color, and, I'll come downstairs and I've got like 2 giant baskets, and there's just like scarves and fabrics, and there's like 10 hats and all this stuff. And Jonathan's like,
does this go in the car?
Okay. And sometimes
What about that? And that? That goes in the car too? That's on the car? All of it?
And I think of you, Laura, and I get courage. I'm like, I haven't said it, but I think I will next time. It's just like, I need to dream a new dream today, because I need the space for all this fabric and all this color. But I also just really just want to honor like the time and the care that you take. Like when I see the images at first, it's just like the absolute breathtaking transcendence, the portal. And then as a fellow creative, I'm like, oh, the fabric, oh, the texture, oh, the nuance, oh, the ratio of Laura to the environment. Oh, Kevin curating where the edge of that root is to the edge of the cloud, just like all those nuances. And in some art, it's just the beholding. With your art, it's both the beholding and then the experiencing of the multidisciplinary aspect, actually, of these productions. So I just really want to honor the work, the tedium, the labor, and honor this as a high art form of museum worthy And that's why we wanted you to come. We, even though we're fledgling just a year and a half into this virtual part, it was like, you were first on my list. It was like, I want our community and also the world to see this. And then we also wanted to be able to give this experience to you too, to have it be real, to be like, yeah, I really had this museum exhibit, to really have that be a part of your story. I know Jonathan had one with his photography and poetry. I've had one, and it felt changing for me to like, let that be real, but that it's this community, global community curation and ongoing relationships with incredible people like you, and what Amber has shared about just the nuance and the care that went into the presentation. Like, just, we were all like, this space, that space. I'm like, change that word. And Kevin's like, move this over here. Like all that. Like, we actually love that. We love that high level design. So we really want to honor you for that as well. And I think we have a few questions from our who's gathered, and Amber's going to read them. And I also want to just encourage all of our guests to, before we complete tonight, to look at who's here, just to scroll through the colorful rainbow of people who's here, because if we were all in the room, you would see each other. And I just want you to be able to see each other as if we're together. All right, Amber, what have we got?
Well, we have had a couple of questions, and they're for Laura and Kevin about the process. So the first one, Laura, was around, her name was Cecily, was around how much time in general does it take to create one of your sets for your photographs?
So each one would be unique in terms of time. Some could take a couple years to sort of have an idea and then have to wait for seasons and then build something. And so some, like the one with the rainbow carpet and there's the portal, I think I worked on that for like 5 years. And the carpet actually is like 80 meters that go anyway. So that was like a massive project. But some of them, it could be like a week. I get an idea and it's quick and the weather is right and it's the right season. So it's all different. But I think of it more in timelessness. I think I would answer the question that way. Like, how long does something take? It's sort of more like, how ripe is the idea? How ripe is the vision? And how much of a match is it to that moment and the reality? That's kind of the time in it. It's like, you might have an idea, but it could be something that you have to become to be able to embody it. So then that could be years. But the vision started, like there was a seed. Maybe tonight there's a seed of something that comes through for somebody, and then it will, do what it needs to do to ripen, sort of in a timeless way. But to put it into practical reality, it could range from a week to years.
Right. Yeah, I was saying before that it very much reminds me of the creation of mandalas. It takes so much time and intent, and they're so beautiful. And then they're disappeared. But that's part of the whole process, right? It's the creative process, and it's very spiritual in many ways. So thank you for answering that. And then we had another very practical question about, what do you do with all the fabric and all of these pieces that you're using in your sets? Where do they go?
Well, the 80 meters of the rainbow carpet, those were cut up bits of old costumes and old things. So I try to recycle stuff and reuse it. So I also have an enormous storage room with bins of rainbow color coordinated, organized bins of fabric. So Shiloh, maybe this will be the evolution of all your scarves and hats. It's like, so I have a whole room of supplies and things I've created that could be reused in some way. And and some things are like recyclable in terms of, something that we didn't include, but I used my journals and something. And so then they could actually go to recycling after it was complete, things like that. So either it goes in storage, I try to reuse it, or it actually could be recycled in some way.
Wow, that's wonderful. And then there's been a couple of questions actually about, do you make your own costumes?
I do. I made this tonight. Yeah, I make all my own costumes. Yeah. Sometimes I work with someone who's more skilled at sewing than I am, but they're all my designs, and most of them I've done myself. Yeah, like sewing. But if it's something more elaborate, then there's one woman in particular I've worked with, Lisa Hill, over the years, and she'll make like kind of a base for me for like a cloak, and then I'll add things onto it. So sometimes I'll work with somebody, but it's still my design.
Okay, and just one final question before we move towards closing, and that is, other than the Dream a New Dream exhibit page, which we will be sharing with all of you where these photos are housed, is there a book or something somebody can hold to sit with your images that exists somewhere?
Do you want to speak to that?
We don't currently have that. We did a show maybe 10 years ago, and we did make some books for that of those images, but currently we don't have any new books like that. Most of our things you could find by joining our Soul Art community Facebook group, and we'll put things in there, or following Laura on Facebook. You know, she'll post things on her account, but in general, no, we don't have anything physical at this point.
But there's been a lot of people who have asked, and I think it's something, it's kind of on the, it's in the pie factory. It's like, it's preparing,
It's
you know,
baking.
it's baking. Yeah. A lot of people have asked, and thank you for whoever asked
Yeah,
that,
thank you
because
very
it's kind of the little nudge reminder to think about that. Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for taking a few moments to answer some of the questions from our guests, and I will hand over the talking stick back to Shiloh and Jonathan.
Thanks, Amber.
Thank you so much, Amber. Well, goodness gracious, I love this. I know that people are so inspired by what they have witnessed here. And what I'd love to do is to just feature the two of you on screen for a moment and just give you a chance to speak to your audience, those who are gathered here, and this whole idea of Dream a New Dream, that it was about this show, but it's also your message and part of your whole teaching curriculum. You have a body of work of teachings like we do here. And I know that this concept is a part of that for you. So we're going to disappear for a moment and allow you to just be with who's here. We love to imagine we can see and feel everybody, and that we're all in a big rainbow circle tonight. And what would you like to share with us?
Well, first, I'd love to say thank you to everybody who took time tonight to come and be with us and see what we had to share. And yeah, say thank you for that feeling of really being witnessed. I feel like Shiloh and Jonathan and Amber and the MUSEA team really did a great job of making us feel seen. I really felt that. You know, a lot of times people see art and it's so disposable in a way. It's kind of the internet norm of just kind of swiping through stuff and Instagram and just think, oh, that's really nice, that's nice, that's nice, that's nice, and it's gone without recognizing what actually went into that creation. And so I really appreciate the opportunity to get to talk about and to share a little bit more about the creation, and everybody here, it feels like, is open to understanding that and absorbing that. And I really, really appreciate that. So thank you so much for everybody for witnessing us.
Yeah, thank you. I guess what I'd love to share is just that I feel like at this time where we are on the planet as humanity, there is such an amazing opportunity for people who are creative to tap into that and see things beyond the logic, see things that it doesn't have to make sense yet, and to trust that impulse of inspiration and to let it carve a path, because that's what I feel we need now, so that we're actually creating something that goes forward into the future rather than just relying on something that we knew in the past. So just kind of putting that out there, that you know, it is actually a practical way of carving out a path, is to trust your impulse and your inspiration. So something that, you know, I'm always working the muscles of that, and this show is an example of that. And we did create a visualization for people too, if they're interested, to kind of figure out how to tap into that. So that's something that's available, the Dream a New Dream visualization, and it's on the gallery page that's at MUSEA.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I know that all of our mutual communities are celebrating all of us being together. So thank you again so much for this experience. We'll continue to look forward to weaving. I feel like we had such a powerful experience in this collaboration. We hope we can collaborate with you again. My wheels are turning about what we might be able to dream up together with our love of rainbows and creativity and our unique approach. I feel like Laura's approach to creating and to the art of soul is so distinct and really deserves to be treated as something singular in the spectrum. And you see all of us out here, doing our stuff on the internet and offering our classes and signing up for our free things and all of that. But that's just an outward moment of connection. But the world, the body of work that's behind it for artists like Laura and Kevin is monumental. And like Kevin said, it could just be missed. It's your invitation, you, our guests, to engage in a world that each one of us have spent our entire life creating, and we're inviting you to peek into it. And I think also we all also are encouraging you to create your world, to be brave enough to dream a new dream, and to let this experience continue to shape you all as you've come to witness this. I know that the past 48 hours for Jonathan and I leading up to it, it feels like we're already in the dream when we're getting ready for an event. And we've been asking ourselves, literally, what is our new dream? Like, what does it look like? Like, pull off all the norms and what would we do? I mean, we've been in a dream space, unpredictable dream space for leading up to this. And it's because we're in the field with you, Laura and Kevin, and with all of you who are here. All of you are creating the MUSEA, which is the many muses. It's museum multiple, right? It's the plural of museum. So all of you, everywhere you are part of this experience. So thank you again, Laura and Kevin, for being with us. We're going to have some closing remarks and also share the page so that you all can come to see the entire museum exhibit. So thank you again so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shiloh and Jonathan.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. It's been an absolute pleasure to spend time with you this evening, or maybe it's afternoon or morning, wherever you are. But you will see a link to the full Dream a New Dream exhibit page in the chat that has been shared by our gracious Zoom hosts, Samaya Wisdom Yates and Mary Ann Mathis. We also want to share our gratitude for their tending of the space today and answering your questions in chat and being there to support. So you can visit the exhibit by clicking on that link. You'll also receive a follow-up communication from MUSEA Intentional Creativity Museum that includes the link to the exhibit page and ways for you to connect and engage. We really encourage you to maybe make yourself a cup of tea or a spirit of your choice and sit down in presence with this exhibit page and really spend time with each image and with the poetry that's woven in, and just all of the beautiful contextual information that's there to really bring the fullness of this experience to you. So with that, we hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. We thank you for joining us as a guest at MUSEA Intentional Creativity Museum. We love to celebrate art and community with you. With that, we'll say goodbye. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all.
Kevin and Laura.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. You all can unmute yourself if you want some chaos to just say.
Thank you, artists.
Thank you, Kevin and Laura.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bonnie. Hey, Bonnie.
Thank you.
It was good
Great.
to see you again,
Oh,
Kevin.
Heather. Hi, Heather.
Laura and Kevin.
Elizabeth,
Elizabeth,
hello.
Such beauty. Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you.